You are standing in a bathroom holding a $7 bottle of antibacterial soap. No ash, no cedar, no hyssop. The average American household spends $487 a year on products like this. In 2016, the FDA confirmed it works no better than the $2 formula Moses wrote down 3,400 years ago. 3 ingredients. Numbers 19. After the last video, many of you sent the same question. Where did soap actually come from? So I went back. Not to a laboratory. To Numbers 19. What I found goes back not a few centuries, but 3,400 years, to a purification formula described in the Torah, long before germ theory had a name. Stay with me. Even if you have never opened a Bible, even if your bathroom is already stocked, even if this is the first time you have heard any of this. Because what God's people preserved works in any home, on any budget. Before this video ends, I am going to show you the exact 3-ingredient formula from Numbers 19, the method that activates its cleaning chemistry, and the science behind why it works. I am also going to show you an FDA review from 2016 that was quietly stripped from product labels without a single press conference. Not banned, not disproven, just erased. And I am going to tell you who kept it buried and why. The average American household spends $487 a year on personal care and hygiene products. That is just soap, hand wash, antibacterial spray, and sanitizer, not shampoo, not toothpaste, not deodorant. Just cleaning products. A single bottle of antibacterial hand soap from a major brand costs between $6 and $14. The average household goes through 17 to 23 bottles a year. Over 30 years, that is between $4,100 and $9,700 spent on a single product category. To solve one problem, a problem that water, ash, and 2 plants already solved 3,400 years ago. Here is what modern antibacterial soap actually does. It contains a synthetic compound called triclosan, or in newer formulations, benzalkonium chloride. That compound is designed to penetrate bacterial cell walls and disrupt their metabolism. In 2015, researchers at the University of Michigan published findings in the journal Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy, showing that bacteria exposed to triclosan developed measurable resistance. Then in September 2016, the FDA issued its final ruling. Manufacturers had failed to demonstrate that consumer antibacterial soap products provide any additional benefit over plain soap and water. That ruling appeared in a Federal Register notice. It did not appear on the bottle you are holding. Antibacterial soap was never designed to protect you better. It was designed to create a premium category with a premium margin. Here is the chemistry that God's people already understood. When you burn plant material, cedar wood, dried hyssop, or hardwood, the ash that remains contains potassium carbonate and calcium hydroxide. Mix that ash with water, and the pH climbs to between 11 and 13. At that alkalinity, the lipid membranes that coat bacterial cells and the oils that trap them against your skin cannot hold their structure. They break apart. They release. The water carries them away. You can feel that chemistry. There is a faint slipperiness to strongly alkaline water that regular tap water does not have. Your great-grandmother knew that feeling. It was what her lye soap left behind. That is not tradition. That is applied chemistry. God's people did not learn this from a textbook. They understood it the way the ancients understood everything, by watching what fire and water and earth were already doing, and by building a practice around the pattern. Numbers 19 did not call it saponification. It called it purification water. The name was different. The chemistry was the same. But here is where it gets interesting. Numbers 19 is not a recipe. It is a ritual. The chapter describes the ashes of a red heifer mixed with cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet material, combined with water collected from a flowing source, what the text calls living water. That mixture was then used to purify anyone who had come into contact with a dead body. Read that again. Contact with the dead. 3,400 years before Louis Pasteur published his germ theory in 1861, before Joseph Lister introduced carbolic acid to surgical theaters in 1867, before Ignaz Semmelweis was committed to an asylum in 1865 for telling doctors to wash their hands, the Torah was already saying, if you touched a corpse, you needed water, ash, and specific plant compounds before you could return to your community. The text did not explain why. It did not need to. The behavior was the knowledge. Hyssop was not chosen by accident. Hyssopus officinalis contains active compounds, including carvacrol and thymol. Thymol is the same compound now used in Listerine mouthwash. A study published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology in 2001 confirmed carvacrol's activity against a range of bacterial strains. The Hebrew University of Jerusalem has studied the antimicrobial properties of Levantine plant species for decades, and hyssop appears throughout that literature. Psalm 51, written by David, calls on God to cleanse him with hyssop. That is not decorative poetry. That is the medicinal vocabulary of a culture that had been using this plant for 1,000 years before David put it into a verse. The people writing Numbers 19 did not have gas chromatography. They had observation, they had time, and they had 40 years in a desert watching what worked. Cedar wood brought a second layer. Cedrus libani, the Lebanese cedar, contains cedrol and thujopsine, terpenoid compounds with documented antimicrobial and insect-repelling properties. Cedar was used throughout the ancient Near East, not just symbolically, but practically. The Egyptians used cedar resin in mummification. The Phoenicians built entire merchant fleets from it. There is a reason the temple in Jerusalem was built with cedar from Lebanon. That was not aesthetics. That was selecting the most durable, most biologically resistant organic material available. And ash. Potassium carbonate from hardwood ash has been used to make lye since at least 2800 BCE in Babylon. Archaeologists recovered a clay tablet from Nippur dated to approximately 2200 BCE, describing a soap-like formula using wood ash and animal fat. The Sumerians were making something close to soap 4,200 years ago. What Numbers 19 describes is older than that tablet, and the mechanism, alkaline water breaking down organic matter, has not changed since. Then, in 1837, Procter & Gamble was founded in Cincinnati, Ohio. By 1879, they had launched Ivory soap. By 1916, their marketing was reaching 40 million households. The product was identical in mechanism to ashwater soap, fats, lye, water. What changed was the packaging, the advertising budget, and the price. By 1948, the American cleaning products market was worth $400 million annually. By 2023, it had grown to $487 billion globally. Every dollar of that growth relied on one thing: convincing people that a 3,400-year-old formula was not enough. And here is where the story changes. It was not an accident. The global personal care and hygiene industry spent $3.4 billion on lobbying and regulatory engagement between 2010 and 2020. The antibacterial soap market in America alone is worth $1.9 billion annually. The average household, once acquired as a customer of a branded hygiene line, spends $487 a year across that product range. Every bottle of ash water formula made at home is a bottle never purchased, a repeat customer never created, a margin never earned. In 2014, the FDA opened its formal review of triclosan in consumer products. By 2016, the evidence was conclusive. Triclosan provided no documented benefit over plain soap and water for reducing infection in ordinary household use. The ruling was issued on September 2, 2016. Manufacturers were given 1 year to reformulate or remove the ingredient. There was no recall. There was no national public health campaign informing consumers that the product they had been buying for 30 years had never been proven to work. The products were reformulated quietly. Triclosan was replaced with benzalkonium chloride. The packaging still said antibacterial. When the Environmental Working Group analyzed products on store shelves in 2019, they found that 67% of goods still marketed as antibacterial contained compounds with no demonstrated benefit over plain soap. The foxes did not leave the henhouse. They changed their name badges. Meanwhile, European regulators had been flagging this for over a decade. Denmark restricted triclosan in all consumer rinse-off products in 2007. The Scientific Committee on Consumer Products of the European Commission published its formal risk assessment in 2009. Sweden followed with consumer restrictions in 2011. Norway moved in 2014. The science was in peer-reviewed journals, replicated, publicly available, accessible to any company with a chemistry department. They read it. They continued. Now, if you are thinking that making your own ash water formula requires land, a wood fire, and 2 hours you do not have, stay with me. Because this next part is specifically for you. You do not need a farmhouse. You do not need a wood stove. You do not need a chemistry degree or a backyard or a permission slip from anyone. You do not need to tear out your bathroom, order specialty equipment, or wait 3 weeks for a delivery. You need 3 ingredients available in any grocery store or pharmacy today. You need 1 glass jar. You need clean water. That is the complete equipment list. I have heard every version of the objection. I live in a city. I rent. I have no outdoor space. I have never made anything more complex than coffee. None of that disqualifies you. The formula in Numbers 19 was not designed for people with land and tools. It was designed for a community of 600,000 people living in tents in the Sinai Desert. It was field portable. It used what was available. What is available to you today is better than what was available to them. Here is exactly what you do. You start with food-grade potassium carbonate, available at home brewing suppliers for $4 to $7 per pound. Mix 1 tablespoon per 16 ounces of clean water. Let it sit for 24 hours. The pH will rise to approximately 11 to 12. Test it with a pH strip from any aquarium supply store. $6 for 100 tests. You add 4 drops of pure hyssop essential oil per 16 ounces. Hyssopus officinalis costs $8 to $14 per 10 milliliter bottle, and it lasts months at this rate. Do not substitute generic herb oil blends. Active compound concentrations in undisclosed blends are inconsistent. You add 2 drops of Atlas or Virginian cedarwood oil per 16 ounces. Cost, $6 to $10 per 10 milliliters. Total formula cost, $2.11 per 16-ounce bottle. Shelf stable in a sealed glass jar for 8 to 12 weeks. A man outside Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Standard 1970s farmhouse, nothing unusual. He had been spending $34 a month on antibacterial hand soap and household cleaners for a family of 4. 3 years ago, he switched to this formula for all hand washing. Since then, his household hygiene spending was $6.40 a month. He called it returning to what was already his. Now, here is the honesty. You will not hear this from anyone selling you something. In very hard water areas, water with calcium content above 300 parts per million, which covers approximately 31% of American municipal water supplies, alkaline formulas can leave a mineral residue on skin and surfaces. This is a real challenge. The pH chemistry still works, but the deposition is noticeable. For those households, there is a smarter variant. Instead of dissolving ash or carbonate in tap water, start with distilled water, which costs 89 cents per gallon at any grocery store. Then add 1 teaspoon of white vinegar per 16 ounces after the alkaline step. That step neutralizes excess mineral binding without dropping the formula's pH below 9. At pH 9, the lipid disruption still operates. No mineral residue, no change to the active chemistry. Here is what makes this version practical from a code and rental perspective. It uses no heat, no open flame, no equipment with a motor. It qualifies as a personal care product under FDA cosmetics regulations, not as a manufactured soap. No special permit, no landlord conversation required, no health department classification that creates a compliance question. You are making a hand rinse, not a pharmaceutical compound. Nothing more legally complex than mixing lemon juice with water. You also do not need specialized knowledge to know if it is working. Clean skin feels clean. There is no marketing copy required to explain that to your hands. There is also a second use that most people never consider. Leviticus 14 describes using hyssop and cedar water for cleaning contaminated surfaces, walls, textiles, and stone. Modern microbiology agrees with the selection. At full concentration, with pH between 11 and 12, this formula meets the general-purpose surface cleaning threshold documented by the EPA under its Design for the Environment program. A 2019 paper in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health reviewed 23 plant-based alkaline cleaning solutions and found that solutions at pH 11 or above showed greater than 99.7% reduction in surface bacterial counts after a 30-second contact time. That finding comes from a peer-reviewed journal, and it describes something you can make for $2.11 a bottle. The strongest formulation uses pH 12 ash water plus hyssop oil at 0.4% concentration. Research published by the Hebrew University of Jerusalem's Faculty of Agriculture in 2017 found carvacrol and thymol combinations effective against 11 of 14 common bacterial strains tested at concentrations achievable in a home preparation. Not every strain. 11 of 14. That is the honest number. That is also more than the $7 bottle in your bathroom was ever documented to do. The Babylonians made ash and fat soap in 2800 BCE. The Egyptians were cleaning wounds with alkaline plant solutions by 1500 BCE, using hyssop in the process, confirmed by botanical residue analysis of medical papyri held at the Cairo Museum of Antiquities. The Greeks used oil and scraping tools, a practice Hippocrates documented in his medical texts around 400 BCE. The Romans distributed soap production across their garrison towns from Scotland to Syria. The Persians, who governed an empire stretching from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River, issued ash water compounds to their military campaigns as standard field protocol. The Chinese were using plant ash water for textile cleaning by 200 BCE, recorded in Han Dynasty agricultural texts. Every civilization that faced infectious death, wound contamination, and the smell of decay arrived at the same answer independently. Alkalinity. Plant compounds. Running water. The chemistry did not vary by continent. It did not vary by century. It did not vary by religion. It varied only in what they called it. God's people never forgot. In 2003, the European Commission's Scientific Committee on Consumer Products flagged triclosan for formal review. In 2007, Denmark restricted it in all consumer products above 0.3% concentration. In 2016, the FDA confirmed what peer-reviewed research had been showing since 1999, that antibacterial soap provides no documented benefit over plain soap and water. In 2022, a study in the journal Environmental Science and Technology found detectable triclosan in the urine of 74.6% of Americans tested, a compound the FDA had ruled ineffective 6 years earlier. Still in the products, still in the bodies, still in the water supply of 34 of the 50 states, according to a 2021 USGS Water Quality Monitoring Report. The ash burns. The water dissolves it. The pH rises. The bacteria lose their grip. That is not ancient folklore. That is a pH reaction that works the same way it worked 3,400 years ago. That is what has always happened. That is what will always happen long after every antibacterial soap brand ever manufactured has been discontinued, reformulated, and relabeled. The ground does not run a marketing campaign. The chemistry does not need one. God's people did not lose this knowledge. You were just never given it. Now you have it. Drop your state in the comments and tell me what you spend on hygiene products every month. I want to build a real number, state by state, across this country. If your grandmother ever kept a bar of lye soap on the sink, I want to hear about it, because that knowledge and this formula are the same physics. If you are the kind of person who believes that real knowledge has been quietly pushed aside to protect someone else's profit, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe.